I'd like to call to order the Wyoming Valley West School District regular March meeting for March 5th at 7:23 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Mr. Damascus,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Here.
Mr. Keating,
Present.
Mr. McGinley,
Present.
Mr. Perfetto,
Here.
Mr. Kubuski,
Here.
Mrs. Cassatt. Here. Mr. Camus.
Here. A moment of silence followed by the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Koch, who's doing the comment?
Mr. Nabraki, it's almost done.
Mr. Navaraki, would you please present the comprehensive plan?
Hey, good evening. Thank you very much for giving us a time slot here to go over and highlight our district comprehensive plan. We'll try to be brief and make our points made with some of the highlights. I have a couple people with me. Just a quick overview. The district comprehensive plan is now, it takes the place of the old district strategic plan. This is the second cycle of it. The state of Pennsylvania has perfected the way, or has really made it a little bit easier the way that we record it. Wyoming Valley West is phase 3, which means that it's due by March 31st. It's like a 1.5-year process or so. It's pretty intensive, and I have to say that the team behind me, we have a whole steering committee for the comprehensive plan, but within the whole steering committee, there's little subcommittees, and the gentlemen behind me are the district department chairs for math, for science, and for the English department. So we have John Sharkus from the English department, Doug Shook from the math department, and Rob Boncheski for the science department. They'll highlight a couple of their sections. Without them, it would be very difficult to do this plan. I consider them, a major part of and they are the data team for the district for this particular plan. And we spent many hours since early September. We met on a weekly basis, and the guys were great. And again, I want to thank them for all of their time. So if you see the screen, what's highlighted, this is what's called the Future Ready Comprehensive Planning Portal. The state came out with this a few years back, the Department of Education. And when you do a strategic plan now, they give you the outline, and everything obviously is electronic. There's a couple different sections. There's on the left, if you see, there's a ready section, which just basically has you establish your steering committee, your LEA profile, which really obviously hasn't changed since the original strategic plan, mission and vision, and then the educational values. Those are consistent that, of what we have held to, with previous plans. Now, what changes now is off to the left, you could see what's called a set section. Okay, this is where you do a complete needs analysis, a needs assessment, looking at different areas of data. The state provides future ready data, which includes your Keystone and your graduation rates, attendance rates, and then they want you to analyze your own local data. We were deficient in local data through the years, and we've just been on the rise with having enough of our own local data through some of the purchases that we made, and some of the suggestions within our departments have made things much better. Because when you look at the areas of data, you can really see where you're struggling, and you could see where there are potentially opportunities for change. What they did also is they wanted you to tie your comprehensive plan into other plans, such as your district title plans and ATSI and TSI plans, which are basically designated schools that struggle due to certain subgroups like low performing socioeconomic students, also special ed students. Sometimes they get categorized in these areas, and the district has to come up with some type of plan to move towards the future to improve those areas. So doing the needs assessment, that's a big part of it. That probably took about 50%, if not more, of our time going through all of the data, looking at it. And the hard thing is the state doesn't release the 23, 24 data until it's too late. So we're working from 21, 22, 22, 23. And when we're discussing this as a group, we took a look at it because it was too late to change a lot of it. And a lot of the data is very similar anyway from previous years. They ask you to summarize strengths and weaknesses. And basically, one of the things that comes out in these areas, and it's very consistent with the schools in the area, as indicated by our local IU, is we have issues with attendance, and then there's performance issues with math and ELA. Different percentages for some of the schools, but those are the areas of concerns for basically all the schools. And a lot of these plans anymore turn out to try to do the same thing, use data to help drive your instruction. So we still struggle in what's called regular attendance. That's something that we're going to attack. We're trying to increase our ELA and our math scores, both from the PSSA and the Keystone data. And I'm going to have the gentleman behind me talk a little bit about it within their areas. The next part of the plan is the go section, and that's where you set your goals. That's where your action plans come out, which we'll have some discussion on from our department chairs. The professional development are all of our state mandates, along with any trainings that we do that are tied into this plan, such as training with the new math series that we have, getting more versed in other areas such as trauma-informed care, other areas like safety and security, which could help us, in the area of attendance. So a lot of these things actually fit in together. There are other state required reports that go along with the plan that are due every few years. And there's a new teacher induction plan that we always review, professional development plan, which is kind of redundant from the original comprehensive plan, and then our gifted, which is the second round of our gifted. So that's an overview of the sections of the plan. I'd like to discuss real briefly with you within the action plan. I'll have Doug, if you want to talk a little bit about are you first? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Shook, Math Department Chair here for the district. One thing you're going to hear over and over again repeated throughout the action plan steps from Mr. Boncheski, Mr. Sharkus, and myself are terms like the CDT, Firefly, and IXL. There currently are 3 strongest pieces of data that will help prepare students for the entire digital transition for online assessments through PSSAs, grades 3 through 8, and the Keystones at the high school. So what we did through this action plan with Mr. Navraki over the last several weeks and months is try to take all the data from Future Ready Index, the CDT, pretty much anything that was available to us that the state would recognize. The CDT and Firefly are very similar. They're all like parallel roads. They're both generated by or provided by the state through PDE. The CDT is a snapshot in an instant amount of time, like as if you're sitting there right now. And the Firefly is designed to be given over the course of several years, 2, 3, I would say, is an appropriate amount of time to help develop a projected goal for what that student may achieve on some PSSA or Keystone event down the road. Right now, this Firefly exam only exists for ELA and math, but for the 25-26 school year, it will be added for 3 through 8 bio and also, science, and also the bio Keystone. The first action plan is the implementation of IXL. IXL is essentially an online progressive individualized student, I'm going to call it a tutor almost, to where students have their own individualized plans that based on their achievement and their proficiency helps develop and provides more challenging questions or maybe questions that aren't as challenging to help build them up. All the teachers for the trigger courses through the middle school that take the PSSA in math, and the math courses at the high school that take the Keystone have access to IXL. They've been provided professional development over back in September of this year. And I can tell you that every teacher at the high school and the middle school as well, with Mr. Bond and Mrs. Carey, what they're doing, we're using it with great determination, and the students are picking it up as part of their normal daily routines. So the implementation of IXL is part of our new comp plan action plan, but it's also going to continue for the next several years. Again, of course, until the end of this comp plan finishes up as well. The other part of our action step, for action step number 2 in the comp plan, is the full implementation of our K-5 curriculum through Reveal Math from McGraw-Hill. In the spring of 2024, we had several review committees that worked together throughout all the elementary schools and chose that plan. We're currently in the first of 6 years for Reveal Math. There was a professional development over the summer in August to do an introduction to the online setup for Reveal, the new scope and sequence. And then there's a follow-up professional development that's going to take place in the district on Friday, April 4th. Now that will take care of the first year of professional development, but that will continue for the remaining 5 years, as needed, or just as refreshers as new teachers are hired and into the elementary system. So far, the reviews on that have come back extremely positive, and the teachers are completely engaged in trying to learn that new setup and system. And the final action step here for the math portion of this comprehensive plan is the implementation of Firefly. There are 6 major anchors in the Keystone exam, and the Firefly, speaking in terms of Algebra 1, tied directly to those 6 anchors. So as a 7th grader, an 8th grader, even a 9th grader would take the Firefly exam, it would create a projected or anticipated score for that student, to give the student the idea and the teachers along the way where their strengths and their weaknesses actually are. And they can work with the students from 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and even beyond if they need to take Keystone beyond 9th grade. So that's the entire setup and the entire portion, the first part for the math part of the action plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Sharkus, English Department Chair. And I'm just going to speak about the parts of the action plan that relate to the ELA subject area. So first and foremost, we were implementing structured literacy. Primarily K-5 was our focus in this endeavor. A step that's already begun. Recently we have adopted the Wilson Foundation's phonetical component to help kids learn to read. So that is an example of our structured literacy, how we're attempting to implement it already. And from there, we were going to springboard. Of course, our contract with HMH is coming to a close at the end of this school year. So we'll need to evaluate and select a new reading series moving forward. And we're actually in a little bit of a standstill with that, just because, state guidance last year, HB 801 became a hot topic and spiraled into Act 135, which basically it ties to professional development. But most importantly for us, and the reason for the holdup, is that the state plans to release an approved list of publishers who are putting out reading series that meet the requirements of structured literacy. So, we're at a standstill because that list has yet to be released. So rather than select a list or evaluate lists, that are not necessarily going to be there at the end and waste our time, waste money, we decided to put that on pause. So we are going to extend, our current HMH resources, which we have an abundance of, for the next year. So this should give us some time to really make sure that we adhere to state guidance on the subject of structured literacy. So that is the only delay that we're experiencing at this point, but that is something that we're moving forward with. Regarding foundations, something that is already being implemented, the feedback is positive. Scores are improving, and the data supports that the students are responding to that foundations program in K-2. So teacher feedback is also very positive with it. It's an easy program to use. It makes sense as they work through their curriculum with it, and it's supplemented well into our daily process. And also, to echo some of the things Mr. Shook said about how IXL and CDT, the next step would be more focused on the high school, would be our ELA implementation of IXL and the CDT and Firefly. So rather than repeat a lot of the things that Mr. Shook has already said about what those programs actually are, I'll speak to how they're being implemented. Essentially, we have IXL from a standpoint. Students love it. It offers autonomy. They can sort of select the pace at which they move. They could choose to do assignments on their own. It sort of sets their own path for them. And we've seen a lot of positive from that, teachers offering it as extra credit or alternative assignments or assessments. And students are really grabbing that piece and running with it. So it's almost like they're receiving this remediation, help, extra practice, whatever you want to call it. And it is actually, it's going to improve their scores and their performance in classes and on state testing. So it's, teachers love it as well because it's all instantaneous for the student. There's no taking a material home, grading an essay. The program immediately spits back the student's progress and gives them immediate feedback about where they are and what they need to improve. So it really is a remarkable program. And it does, it's kind of lessening the burden on our teachers as well, because it's not another thing they have to do. It's rather something that they can, implement in their own ways. And as far as the ELA, CDT, and Firefly go, we piloted the Firefly program, as Mr. Shook mentioned too. We're still waiting for official data from that test, but CDT has really propelled us forward. It's allowing us the opportunity in ELA to show growth, what we are seeing from the first round of data we gave the CDT in November. And what we are seeing is that we're meeting state standards for growth projections, which is our goal right now. Our first and immediate goal is to show that growth and improvement. So, I think CDT and Firefly are definitely the path forward. As Mr. Shook mentioned, they're essentially partnered with the state. They're offered through the state. My personal criticism is that there isn't not necessarily a lot of remediation that the state offers. It's sort of, here's your score. Okay, go and figure out what you're going to do with it. So whereas IXL offers that component that is immediate remediation for the student, CDT, Firefly, we play the waiting game a little bit, and then we have to break that data down. But we have seen a correlation. Teachers who are implementing both the programs, both modes effectively, are actually using IXL to supplement feedback from the CDT that students are receiving. So, they're using those programs and using those tools harmoniously, which is, obviously what we hope for, make the most of our opportunities. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Rob Bonchesky, Science Department Chair. And there are parts of the comprehensive plan that deal with science. English and math kind of take the forefront with the model plan, but we did look at data from the Future Ready Index to see where we can improve within our science scores, especially with the implementation of new steel standards. But the action plan that I want to address, follow up to the gentleman before me, deals with the implementation of the IXL, CDT, and Firefly. And I have to tell you that at the end of last school year and even over the summer, talking with Mrs. Carey and Mr. Navraki, we were so set on data. Everything is data, 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 data. And we said, listen, wherever we can get data, let's take it. And when they came out with the Firefly, and you were able to sign up for this first year of the trial, we were like, yeah, absolutely. Whatever we can do to improve the scores of these kids, let's do it. So as was mentioned before, first year, this is English and math. The next year, they'll implement Firefly for science. The CDT, the classroom diagnostics tool, we want more data. Well, we started this and we did a kind of a pre-test, if you want to call it, back in November. And all three disciplines are ready for the end of March to administer the classroom diagnostic test again. So what do you do with the data? You look at where they scored before, where they went after. I have to give Mr. Wiskevich a lot of credit because we implemented Linkit, all right, within the district, and that is kind of a data warehouse for all of our scores, PSSAs, keystones, and it could do so much more. We've been in touch with the Representative Kelly Klinger on how we can use the data, such as comprehensive plan. And she told us, we actually asked her, hey, when we get our data for the second round of CDT, how can we do an item analysis so that I see kids constantly missing osmosis questions, all right? And we can compare them that they still didn't learn it by this point, because They take it now in March, all of our keystones are in May. So it's not just data to get data and numbers and fill it in on a plan and submit it to the state. We want to actually look at the data and see where we're deficient, see where our strengths are and use it. And there's so many teachers that love to get that data, to see what they're doing right, how can they do better in class, what other teachers are doing. So I really think between the IXL that math and English is doing this year, giving the teachers a more arsenal, all right, within their classroom to kind of reach all of the kids. The Firefly that's there, and of course the CDT, and then all the different strategies that we can use. I think it just goes to show that, we are proactive. We realize the stakes, that it looks good for us when the kids do well, and we can back it up with shareholders and say, yeah, this is what we're doing for the students. So that's part of that last action plan of, yes, we're doing all that, but that's how we're implementing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to finish up, I want to thank everybody that attended tonight for this particular presentation. They worked very, very hard. Mr. Waskevich, our building principals, Mr. Tosh, everybody from the standpoint of the steering committee, Mr. McGinley was part of that also. The one thing that we always want to emphasize is, a lot of times we focus on achievement, but you can't have top achievement until you establish your growth. If you have a 30 average and you're trying to get out of the F range, you have to get to a 40 first. Okay, you don't go right from a 30 to a 90. It takes time, and the focus of this plan is that we can adjust it. We will get feedback on it from the state, and we always take what they say into consideration, and our teachers carry out the much of this work. And they have their work cut out for them, but they do have a lot of the tools available now to help them analyze and see what kind of growth they're having. So if anybody has any questions, this is posted on our website. You could email me. Anybody on the board, if you have anything at this time that we could answer, we certainly will. But ultimately, that we want to give you the overview so you know what you're actually looking at tonight. Thank you.
I do have a question, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's just me, but you use a lot of abbreviations in your presentation tonight. I know some of those abbreviations. I don't know some other. It might be helpful if you gave us a little directory of those abbreviations. The other part is, and I received an email, and I think I forwarded to you, Dave, and Mr. Tosh. Our attendance, pretty much district-wide is an issue.
Yes.
And I think whatever we do academically, an important element of that is to improve the attendance so that the kids are in the classroom.
Yes.
They're going to do much better if they're there in the classroom versus they're only there part-time or whatever.
Yes.
So I know attendance is part of this,
Right.
but I think it's something that you really have to emphasize.
Yeah. Attendance is a major part, and the definition of compulsory attendance versus regular attendance are two different things.
Yep.
We could, you could basically, the way it's graded on this particular area in the plan is you can't miss more than 17 days of school, excused or unexcused. And, regardless of how we believe that's fair or not, that's the rule that we have to play by. So we're trying everything. We communicate with other schools. We're implementing mentor programs. We're implementing having our school counselors track attendance. Teachers are making calls, sending postcards home, different ideas. But ultimately, that's an area without improvement and being consistent in the classroom, achievement is very hard to attain.
I agree.
Right.
So whatever we can do there to
Yeah.
strengthen that'd be great.
Yep.
I do want to congratulate everybody. They worked very hard, and I think done a good job with the plan. And now we have to keep implementing the plan as we move forward.
Yep, definitely.
Anyone else? Thank you very
Thank you.
much this evening.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I would like to announce that there was an executive session held prior to this meeting to discuss multiple personnel issues. There was also executive sessions held on February 15th or February 12th, February 19th, and the 25th for interviews for a superintendent. Student representatives, Miss Emily Bolton, please.
Anna Navraki, Olivia Riviello, Lily Shemansky, and Heath Stockler were selected by faculty as Seniors of the Month for the month of January. The students were honored at a breakfast with a faculty guest of their choosing. They received a certificate from administration, and their photograph will be featured in the local newspapers and on the high school webpage. Congratulations, seniors. The high school is hosting the SATs on Saturday, March 14th. The WVW Gamer and Esports is hosting their annual Mario Kart tournament on Saturday, March 22nd in the high school cafeteria. Registration will be from 12:30 to 1 p.m. The high school PBIS team and the class of 2025 will participate in Spartan Madness Week during the week of March 24th. The culminating event is Friday, March 28th, with an all-school faculty versus student dodgeball game. Sophomore party tickets are on sale during all lunches through March 7th. The cost of the tickets will be $50, and the date of the event is April 11th. The WVW Theater Department is hosting its second annual open mic night on Saturday, March 9th from 1 to 4 in the high school auditorium. The National Honor Society is accepting applications for officers. Interested candidates must submit a letter of his or her qualifications to Ms. Nemitz in the main office by the end of the school day on Monday, March 10th. The high school is proud to announce this year's musical production, Bye Bye Birdie, and the musical will be Thursday, April 3rd, Friday, April 4th, and Saturday, April 5th in the high school auditorium. Showtimes are at 7 p.m. Cost of tickets will be $10. Vice President Noah Sienkiewicz and Student Council will be selling shamrocks from March 10th to 17th. Proceeds will benefit the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Cheerleading tryout practices will be held at State Street from March 17th through the 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. Tryout day is Saturday, March 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we apologize. We're a little bit behind this evening.
No worries.
Superintendent's comments, Mr. Tosh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Camus. I do want to thank Mr. Navraki, Mr. Shook, Mr. Bonchesky, Mr. Sharkus, Mr. Waskevich, Mr. McGinley, for all their contributions and all the administrators in the district. The comprehensive plan, from having done one, a number of them over the years, very time-consuming, hard work, creates a lot of, trust me, sleepless nights. So thank you for a great presentation, all your hard work with that. As I mentioned, Sunday night on the robocall, Friday, March 14th is an in-service day with no classes for students. And also, as mentioned on the robocall, Friday, March 28th is now an Act 80 day with early dismissal. That's a makeup from a January postponement. I'd like to thank all our administrators, teachers, and staff for making Read Across America Week such a great tradition and a great learning experience. I had the opportunity to read at Dana Street last week to Mrs. Sutton's kindergarten class. And I have to tell you, if you've never read to a kindergarten class, I'd highly, highly recommend it. I'd also like to thank our federal programs coordinator, Debbie Troy, along with the district consultant, Kim Wallach. Last year, they started Title I Family Engagement Nights, and they have evolved into a terrific academic learning opportunity for teachers, parents, and students. We're very proud of the tremendous turnout we are getting for these very popular events. And tomorrow night, we'll have 3rd Ave from 5 to 7, State Street tomorrow night from 6 to 8, next week, the middle school on Tuesday from 5 to 7. We're also very excited to announce that our state-of-the-art STEM lab is now virtually complete. We will have an official grand opening with a ribbon cutting ceremony next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. And we're currently working on a night for the community to come in and see this tremendous academic resource. That date and the details are still being worked out. And I would like to acknowledge Mrs. Carey in the back, high school principal,
Mr. Waskevich on the other side of the screen, who I can't see at this point, for all your hard work with that. And I know Mr. Boncheski, Mr. Hedis, Mrs. Gordon, and I'm always hesitant to name people because if I forget someone, I apologize, but these people have worked extremely, extremely hard to get this state-of-the-art STEM tutoring lab up. And I think it's going to be a great resource that this district is going to be very proud of, and it's going to be able to be used by students, high school, middle school, and ultimately we'll have some elementary kids there also. And finally, it's with sadness that this week I was informed that our field hockey coach, Linda Fithian, her assistant Diane Webster, and volunteer coach John Franzoni submitted their resignations as coaches of the Wyoming Valley West girls field hockey team. Over the past 29 seasons, under their leadership, the girls made 23 trips to the district championship game. 29 years, 23 trips. They were 14-time District 2 champions and 9-time runner-up. They made 6 trips to the state Elite Four, 3 trips to the state finals. They are 2-time state champions, 2003 and 2019, and a 1-time state runner-up. Overall, Coach Fithian compiled an amazing record of 437 wins, 112 losses, and 15 ties in her now legendary career. I'm not sure those records will ever be broken. In addition, Coach Fithian was responsible for a multitude of Lady Spartans receiving athletic scholarships to compete on the collegiate level, and always emphasize athletics are not a right, they are a privilege. Coach Fifth always made her girls' academics come first and field hockey second. While we will miss Coach Fithian and her staff, we thank them for their contributions, their professionalism, and running one of the truly great athletic programs, not only in this area, but in the entire state of Pennsylvania. Congratulations and thank you to Coach Fithian and her staff. Thank you, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh, very much. We have no statement, no citizens. May I have a motion to approve the February 5th, 2025 board
Could I have
meeting?
Public comment?
There is none, Mr. McGinn.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
The February 5th, 2025 board meeting and the regular meeting for January 15th.
So
Motion.
moved.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Committee reports. Mr. DeBascus, please.
Just a couple of things. First, echo the comments of Mr. Tosh for Coach Fithian. We will be actively looking for someone to fill her shoes, which will be a very large pair of shoes to fill, but we'll be looking very closely at candidates here in the near future. Also, just wanted to mention to the board, we started our spring sports this week for baseball, softball, and I think boys volleyball are the 3 going on now. We are now currently working on getting our fields ready, which is never easy, especially with a hard winter with the ice, and it's just finally thawing out. In fact, we are now planning to run our JV or 7th and 8th grade programs up at State Street. We've never really done that before. We used to use Swarsville Field over there, and I think kind of I don't know if it's being used or whatever, but our coach wants to move the 7th and 8th up to State Street because there's locker rooms, there's cameras, there's a whole bunch of things up there we could use. One of the things that is going to be required up there, never was in there, is we have a backstop, but there's no fencing for the dugout areas for the kids to sit in. So we got Dave Cordes got us a proposal from a local fencing company for roughly 95 to 10,000 or 9,500 for fences on both sides to protect the benches where the players sit. And we'll need them very soon. So I don't know what the best way to do that would be. I guess, Rob, do we have any funds available to do that? Can we get it? Can we use that local person to get it, or what do we need to do?
Yeah, I could look and see how much of the fencing budget, if there is one, and then if not, I know there was a small budgetary account set aside for emergencies or necessities.
Okay, okay, I'll get,
If I may, so Brian, I'm looking at that email, it's $1,850. That's what I saw, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing. And it was a deposit of $925.
yeah, I'll look at it. I can't imagine, it has to be over $1,000 for,
It was
I think it's like 25 feet of fence on each side, first base and third base line. Yeah, I'll look at it.
Sorry, I just.
I'll make sure I get it to the board, the final amount. Maybe I misread the amount.
Mr.
But anyway,
Dabasky,
that does need to be done
Yeah.
as soon as possible, because we can't have a game there until we put those fences up to protect the people on the bench.
Okay.
can we move on that at all, or is that something that would have to wait?
I believe because the cost is so low and it's not, bidding is not really required. I think we can move on it like ASAP, and I think.
We have plenty of money to do that.
Well, then can I make a motion that we do it?
Do we need a motion?
Let's see a price. Let's get a price first.
We had
I
a,
did, yeah, I did send one.
Brian's $10,000 price. Are you doing it yourself?
No, good question. No.
well, from what Mr. Dabasky said, it's safe.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm sorry, it is. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I don't know where I came up with 9,000, but yeah, it's only 1,850.
$1,850.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Less
I
than
can't believe they could do
$2,000?
it. That's pretty cheap fence, I guess, but yeah, my bad.
It's for the safety of the athlete.
It has to be, right, yeah.
He has it up.
Yeah, it has to be.
I
We
don't
can't have a game there. I don't know why we never had a fenced in dugout there. We never really used
We
it.
need to have it, so.
But they were actually up there even, and I'll give credit to our baseball coach. He had his whole staff up there on Monday. They were digging out. Dave got several tons of that dry mix, the dirt that you need for the field, and they tore up the whole infield. They're gonna redo the pitcher's mound, so they're gonna make it a very playable field. We just need to get them the fencing to protect them while they're on the bench.
Yeah, that's a good price.
So do we need a budget, or can we take something that's already past budget?
So I believe it's discretionary spending, so I don't believe we would need a motion by the board for that, do we?
I don't think so.
All right, do you think so?
I don't think we need a motion.
No,
So then,
okay.
with the
As
directive.
long as we
Mr.
can
Tosh,
get it
it can be
safety
done.
for the kids.
You can handle that tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Brian, I just want to put something out there. Community Park in Plymouth, Valley West used to use years ago. They put a new backstop up there, I believe, when Valley West was using it. I just want to put it out there. I'm sure Plymouth would be happy to let the district use it if we're looking for another field. It's not being used, and in case they need something, just let me know. I could reach out to Plymouth, but it's not
Yeah,
being
I
used.
think they can always use fields. I know
Yeah.
everybody's always looking for field especially at that size, even for what they call teener baseball and legion baseball. They're always looking for places to play.
Yeah, just to put that out there, if Mr. Gill needs a field,
Okay,
let me know and I'll reach out to Plymouth. I'm sure they would be happy to let us use it.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Keating, personnel and finance?
Just a few things. I think before I get to the boring stuff, I think it's very difficult to sum up in a word or a phrase the accolades that Coach Fithian and her staff deserve. I mean, what they've done for this program, the success of it, just thank you for everything. Really, really special to our school for everything that they've done. I'd also like to thank Dave Navraki and the department chairs this evening for a job well done on the comprehensive plan. Thank you very much. For the boring stuff, that's why I was so quick to chime in that we have plenty of money to get the $1,800 fence. Just pleased to report, after discussing some things with Rob, that our general fund has grown by 5.5 million from where it was last year at this time. There's 4.6 million sitting in our capital projects fund as of February 28th of 2025. And something that, I'm going to work very hard at with Rob, our committee, before
I get off the board later this year is to reserve a substantial amount of this fund balance that we've been able to build over the last couple of years for dedicated capital projects in our school district to make sure that that money is not spent irresponsibly. There's been a lot of work by this whole entire board, the staff that has been a part of growing this money. I think there's wonderful opportunity now for our school district to do great things in the future. Rob has done a tremendous job with getting us to where we're at today with what he has been handed off. But you know, it's nice to be able to sit here and say that our accounts are in this, you know, economy that we're in and the instability, still earning a steady fixed 3.95%. And overall across all funds, total growth up 9.1 million from where it was last year at this time. So I think things are looking up for the school district in terms of our financial future. And as for the personnel committee, lots of balls in the air, big ticket items with the superintendent, operations manager, and just learned this evening in executive session that there's 11 teaching positions that are going to need to be filled before the beginning of the next school year. Lots of good things and lots of work yet to be done. That's all, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, Mr. King, very, very much. Mr. McGinley, Education and Policy Committee.
First, again, I think Mr. Keating said, you know, the comprehensive plan that was presented tonight is something that most people are not aware of. It's sort of like behind the doors, but it certainly is an element for the school district to continue to progress and provide a proper education to the students we have. So thank you again, gentlemen, and thanks for all your work. As far as the policy side, again, you'll see tonight, there's a lot of new policies, first reading. So first reading is what it is. We have to have a second reading next month. So we can review these and see if there's any issues, but the committee's done a great job, I think, preparing them for tonight. And, you know, hopefully we'll get through it tonight and deal with it next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinley. Mr. Harwick, Special Education.
Very briefly, the Special Education Committee did not meet formally, but the board is aware, Special Director Mario Barata sends a newsletter around. Everybody had a chance to take a look at it. I just wanted to highlight two things. We welcomed in 2 new teachers, Jill Webb, Autistic Support at Chester Street, and Megan Smalls, Emotional Support at State Street. So welcome to them. And then Maria just was reaching out again through the newsletter. They're looking for donations for basket and gift cards to the Special Education Department for their wellness in service. So if anybody's interested, please contact Maria. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick, very much. Mr. Dickon, do you have something for us this evening?
Two quick things, this on. Just an update on the ID badges, so everyone's aware we're still moving forward. The middle school's been working really hard with some of the younger kids who are forgetting them or not getting consistent. So Mr. Bond has worked on 10 or more misses or not having your badge or not being prepared. There's a consequence. If they have less than 10, parents are being robocalled and reminded about the procedure. And then if it continues, those students will have OSS until a parent comes in and we talk about why the student is not wearing their ID on a daily basis. We're about a month into it, a little over a month now. So again, about 90% of the students are wearing it, no problems, but we're still running into a couple hiccups. The other thing I quickly wanted to bring up is we met at Dana Street last week. We're going to revamp the parent drop-off procedure starting on Monday. Mr. Duraco had put together a really nice letter with a map he sent to all the parents yesterday in a robo or in a remind. Today, the letter went home to all the parents. We're going to be out there the next 2 days in the morning to remind parents this is coming forward. It'll be posted on the website tomorrow, and then I'll put it on the Facebook page on Sunday. And then Monday, we'll start with that new initiative, and we'll work through, you know, some of the hiccups that may, you know, come forward with the new procedure. But with the help of 44, and Mr. Duraco and his team, I think it should be a smooth transition as we move forward. That's it. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Mr. Dickon.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dickon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Duraco and Mr. Tosh, thank you very much for putting that forward for 44. That was a pretty dangerous situation, in my opinion. Thanks for coming up with a plan and getting it done and dealing with it. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dickon, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering about the cell phone bags that was brought up a month or so ago. Are we still looking at anything with that? The locking bags?
Well, the cell phone bags, and I can show, if you want to come and visit me anytime, I have a sample bag in my office with the unlocking station. I can show you how it works. And the technology, if you will, behind it. Currently, when we had some funds for the bag, we decided to use those to get more security measures in our buildings. We started adding cameras and more electronic access controls for first responders. That grant will probably be available again next year, and we can discuss that for next year if there's monies there. The state never moved forward with requiring schools to mandate the bag or some kind of like cell phone procedure other than, having a plan in place in the school, which we have a policy in our buildings. So we're kind of stalemate currently on the cell phone bag.
Other districts are using them?
Not locally. There's one district locally that has talked about using them. I think it's now been approved, but they haven't started yet. So we can use them as a litmus test if you want when the next school year begins.
I thought Wyoming area.
No, he's right. They just.
Yeah, Wyoming area, I think, went back and approved it. It was approved, not approved, and I think they did pass it finally, the third reading. So, yeah, I'm more than glad to show you the bag and how it works.
Okay, I'll be happy to look at that.
Mr. Dick, quick question, right
Yes,
at
sir.
the microphone. And thank you for the work with the badges. I can only imagine following up with this. But the buses and the vans with the cameras, and I know we had made some headway there. Just any type of update on that?
Sure. The plan to move forward with the cameras on buses is when this current contract expires in the 25-26 school year. So this upcoming school where we can start discussing a contract, we will decide on how we want to move forward, but we add language into that contract that buses must have cameras. And when we do an RFP, we'll get vendors that will have the cameras on the buses. Currently, we have one contractor who voluntarily put cameras on probably the majority of their buses. It's only 13 buses in our fleet. And all vans currently have cameras. So out of the 50 to 60 vans that we have currently running, they all have cameras.
You say 60?
60.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Your water is surprised. Anything else, gentlemen, or ladies? All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Dickens. So I have a couple things. I see Chief Kochek is in our building. So everybody knows Officer Sosnowski today got a culprit in our school that was vandalizing our new bathrooms. So Chief Kochek, I'd like to thank Officer Sosnowski for all his hard work, his dedication. We just want to thank Officer Sauce, for his hard work, his dedication. Please express that to him. Thank you. We've been working really hard on this building and he put that to rest for us. So please tell him thank you.
What is the punishment for vandalizing a bathroom?
Yet to be determined.
I hope it's like,
Severe,
right.
severe. I mean, the bathrooms aren't even done yet. He caught them, they were vandalized. But thank you. That hard work is awesome. I have a couple quick things, under buildings and grounds. The Wellness Center roof, Mr. Cortez received two prices for one for the Wellness Center roof, and these are just estimate and they're not a prevailing, public bid pricing, but they're a little bit close. The Wellness Center was 125,000 estimated. And the rectory is gonna be on the high side, about 32K. So I think that's something that we should try to consider for our budget for next year. Try to see if we can squeeze that in there somewhere, Rob, if you don't mind. The other thing,
I asked, Mr. Cordes to go to Third Ave today. The basement was dry for the most part. So he's gonna go over tomorrow morning, check it out. He's a little bit busy tomorrow morning, but he's gonna go over there and check that out for us. So at some point, we'll have an update on that. Beyond that, that's really all I have. We'll know more here this next week or so. We have a appointment or our solicitors are gonna set up a meeting with Sitelog. So we'll find out where we're wrapping up at. Mark, do you have something?
I do. I have a few things. First, I'd like to talk about State Street. I'll try and make them quick. Right, the parking lots are, the parking space is right in front of the main entrance. There's EO3 to EO7, if I have that right, or maybe even more. I'd like to see one or two of those made handicap for, if possible, made handicap for employees.
Mark, could you pull your microphone a little bit closer?
Thank you.
At State Street, there's parking right in the front of the building where faculty park. Not where the flag is, but down some. I would like to see two of those parking spots made for handicap parking for staff. If that's possible. If we could look into that.
Yeah, we'll bring that up with the engineers.
Okay.
I didn't hear what building, what building?
State Street.
We have handicap parking. I would just like it closer for employees.
We'll have the engineers look at it.
Okay. And then the high school, I was there today with Miss Carey. I wanted to see the STEM lab. I've been there a few times with her. And I also got to visit the top floor of the two of the rooms that Mr. Cordes had gotten done with new carpeting and new paint, and I believe sealant blocks. And I spoke with Miss Carey. I spoke with Mr. Cordes. Mr. Cordes, a rough number is about $6,000 for a room to be done. It appears that there's about 20 rooms on the top floor. I would love to see if this coming budget, if we could do at least one floor, maybe the whole top floor, if it's possible. My rough number is about 125,000. Speaking with Mr. Cordes, it may be possible to do all that in-house. Now that the carpet was done out of house, but the painting and sealant blocks and moving of everything, and some of us have seen the carpeting in the high school. It needs to be replaced. Just a thought. I would like to see that, looked into getting at least the top floor painted. I heard those two classrooms have brightened things up for the teachers and students that's in those rooms.
If that's something that we wanted to look at, Mark, we could definitely have the engineers put a proposal together, because it's gonna be a public bid process. Because the carpet's gonna exceed over $20,000, so it's gonna have to, bid specs are gonna have to be written. So if we wanted to go that large, like, we'd have to have the engineer write up specs and drawings, and
If we did them room by room and it's in-house done,
room by room in-house, as long as it's below the bidding threshold of $9,990 some dollars, yeah, you're fine.
okay. I'd like to discuss that buildings and grounds and
Sure.
maybe get it on next month's work session or something.
Sure.
And I was gonna talk about the wellness center, but you covered that. And I did also want to mention the high school elevator. I did speak with Mr. Cordes, and I guess the parts hopefully are gonna be in this month. So hopefully we could hear when they come in so that our students and the concerned parent is not worried anymore. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. General recommended action items, items 1 through 22. Do we have any questions on any of these? Does anybody
Make a
like
motion.
anybody like to discuss any of these topics? May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Damascus?
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick?
Yes.
Mr. Keating?
Yes.
Mr. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Profetto?
Yes.
Mr. Kubuski?
Yes, except for number 18, no.
What number?
18.
Mrs. Cassatt? Yes. Mr. Kamis?
Yes. Staff recommended action items, items 1 through 19. Is there any questions this evening on any of those items?
I have a question. But still dealing with personnel, so I don't think it's appropriate for a public meeting.
Yeah, could we please keep that to our personnel then?
Right. So what? Yeah, we'll keep it, but and I'll make a motion then to approve those. But number, I shouldn't even say that. Hopefully.
You backed
think
yourself
there's
into a
one-
corner now.
Huh?
You backed yourself into a corner now.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't think I should because it is personnel and I think it belongs in a confidential session.
I have the same question, but.
Unless we take a short break and talk about it very quickly, or as you're the board president, you decide.
What number do you have a question on? You can always tell us.
Personnel.
Yeah, but if it's on the,
On the agenda.
Yeah, it's on the agenda, so
But
you
which-
can't say the number.
Which one do you have, which number do you have a question regarding?
I have a question regarding number 12. And the reason I have that question is, if you look at it, it says State Street. I don't think we can assign a building till we know what the funding is for Title I. That's my opinion. I'm just offering that, you know, if we want to just leave it as Title I teacher, I think that's fine.
Why looking at?
But we didn't decide.
Well.
No, we didn't.
So with the, I think the question at hand is, and where all districts are at, Brian, is we don't know where Title I's gonna be. We don't know where Title is gonna be with the Department of Education. So where's Title gonna go? Is it gonna go away? Is it gonna be an unfunded, is it gonna be an unfunded mandate? We don't really know where it's
Yeah,
going.
but that's just saying where she's currently assigned today.
Correct.
That's her current role. It had nothing to do with.
Well, I think it sort of indicates that's where she'll go, and like Mr. Kamius said, and what I said, we don't know how that program is gonna progress.
No, you don't, but I mean, if you're gonna say where is that teacher assigned, that's where she's assigned today. That's just, she rescinded her resignation.
Right, she rescinded it, so that
That's not saying where she rescinded her role today. I don't, maybe I.
what was the solicitor saying? See if he has a. Yeah.
Does he have a problem with rescind? Do you have a problem with the rescind?
No.
No, I will go along with that, but I want to make sure that there's not a designation of a building. Because we don't know what Title I is going to allow us to have if we don't know what the funding is.
I think you treat it the same as if she didn't submit a retirement, right? So it's like nothing.
Nothing happened.
So
Right.
she resigns and Title I goes away. Is that what you're asking? Does her job? go
Well,
away?
yeah, what happens if, you know, and as you know, there's a lot of Title I positions across the district, not just State Street. So that's my question. I don't want to create an issue. What I want to do is make sure that we know exactly what the situation is. And everybody knows Title I, no one knows what that's going to look like for next school year.
Point well taken, Mr. McGinley. I hear what you're saying.
So
It could be
That's-
till next meeting because it's not going to be effective. It could be.
Does anybody want, do we want to table this or do we want to just move forward with it? I would need a motion either way.
I guess asking the solicitor, isn't that's just stating what her title is today. It's only for this year, 24, 25. So it has nothing to do, if title disappears
I think there's
next
more,
year, that's not what that's just saying her title today is. So I don't know what, I guess.
I personally have
sure either.
questions about
I
it
don't
and
know
I'd
what
like
the
to
issue is.
table it.
We should table it?
I don't think.
What do you
it's an
think?
I don't see why we can't. It's not effective till the end of the school year, so.
issue, And it's rescinded. I don't know.
If you want to table it.
I would need a motion, I would need a motion to table it.
Make a
Motion to table it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Could you please state, to table item number 12,
Well, under staff recommended.
under staff recommended action items, Mark? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I have a second by Mr. McGinley?
Yes.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Wilson,
No.
Mr. Damascus,
Yes. I don't know, whatever.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes. I
Miss-
think you're okay to table it.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto,
Yes.
Mr. Kubuski,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt,
Abstain.
Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Item number 12 will be tabled.
Need a motion, Mr. Camus?
Yep, working on it. May I have a motion? to-
Motion, please.
For staff recommended action items 1 through 18. I have a motion by Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Damascus. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Damascus,
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto,
Yes.
Mr. Kubuski,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt,
Yes.
Mr. Kamis.
Yes.
And, okay, Mr. Camus, I'd just like to say, because, I mean, the board was all over the place on this number 12, and it's kind of irrelevant because we have until the end of the school year
Yes.
to make a decision on this. So, I mean, there was no right, wrong, or, vote up here at the table when, the abstention, gives us until, we get to June to make this decision, so.
All righty, moving on, finance recommended action items. Accept and approve the following as presented, bills for payment, finance manager's report, and the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. On the roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Damascus,
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Perfetto,
Yes.
Mr. Kubuski,
Yes.
Mrs. Cassatt,
Yes.
Mr. Kamis.
Yes. Mr. Kuchar, do you have anything for the board you'd like to update us with this evening?
We are, in the process of obviously beginning the budget for the 25-26 school year. I have nothing really at this time to update. I do want to say items number 12 and 19 on the staff recommendation. It was a pleasure working with both of those individuals for the 1 year and the 1 day that I've been at this district now. And they will be missed.
100%. Does anybody have anything for new business?
Motion to.
I have a motion to adjourn. May I have-
Second.
Meeting adjourned.